if you could only get allowed 3 things, what would be those 3 things you would bring to the deserted island? So it's important that you move fast with this because there's a second step to this exercise. Keep it simple. All right, I'm going to give you 2 minutes for that. Yes, 2 minutes. Is that a long time? Oh, okay, a minute. Okay, sorry. You know, everybody. Good, 3 things, I know. Okay. 3 things that you would take. Good. 3 things. Adults can participate too. Okay. Hopefully you have all those 3 things. Okay, so the next step, as you see, there's phone numbers at the top that you can see. You are to now text those things to those phone numbers with your first and last name. Quickly. Text your 3 things with your first and last name to the numbers above. Yes. All right, quickly.
Wait, like individually or at the
Say you texted the wrong person.
Say that one more time.
You're supposed to send it to her.
The 3 things.
Her number's up there.
like send it to
You
the
can put it in the same group text. Yeah, you can send it to the same group text. All right. Yes, you can send it as a group text. All right. I see some entries coming in. I'm going to give it 1 more minute.
What do you need a compass for? Why do you need it? Yeah, where are you gonna go? Something good? Oh, food. Was that in your back?
Okay, does everybody have their entries in? Quickly, quickly.
Something like that. What is it?
You got it.
Wait, but isn't this
Forget it, don't put that. Girl, how much is if you didn't have a boyfriend,
So when they bring it up.
what do you bring? I'm bringing a gun.
All right, countdown is started now. 30 seconds. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. Can you go explain to Sammy? 16. If you were on the desert island, what are the 3 things you would take to you? 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. Okay, so the last step. Respectfully and without shambles and without getting out of control, you are now to go find what other person has the 3 things that are closely related to you. The first person to bring it to us will get a prize. So we have to verify and validate it. So you are to go.
Okay, we had a boat. That was
You weren't supposed to talk. You talked.
Oh, no, after. Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah.
So we both had boat. We both had like water, and then our last name was different, but like most. You said closely.
Or two things are the same. Okay, let me see. What was it?
Oh, I deleted it. I sent it to you.
Oh, mine was. I have it. I don't see it. I have one.
So you, like, as my mother, yeah.
Okay, boat. There was water. And now you had water filter.
Water filter.
Okay. So you have two. Okay. Let's see if I have three.
We had all three. I changed mine at first. I was gonna
Did you change that?
but then I did clothes.
But you guys shared your phone.
Food, water, clothes.
Yeah, but did you guys share?
It's like you already know what the other person had, you know what I mean? You already know the other person.
Okay. I got 5 gallons of water,
And he has 50 gallons of water. I have a Nokia. He has a phone with cell service.
Okay. And then I have a boat. That would say you had 2 out of the 3?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. I got 2 out of the 3. I'm looking for 3 out of the 3. Anybody has 3 out of the 3?
Wait.
We got the same.
You changed it?
Are you serious?
They did get 3 out of the 3.
A plane and a jet is two different things. No,
And what was the third?
You already lost, You already lost.
We got 3 exactly the same.
Oh, wow. You guys both said pilot?
That's two different things.
I'm going to have to give it to them. All right. We have a winner. We have 2 winners. Jeremiah, Jaden, sorry. And Jonathan, the Jays. All right. We're going to get you the prize. Thank you guys for participating. They did get 3 out of the 3. Do you guys want to share what your 3 were? Jonathan, where did he go? Oh. You want to share what your 3 items were? Can you share what your 3 items were? Everyone like?
A pilot, a jet, and some food.
And some food. Not bad. All right, who else wants to share what they had?
Food, water, and tools.
Yeah. Makes sense. Adults, because you said you had yours right away. No, you don't want to do what do you think?
My sister, some books, and unlimited water.
Not
Because we like to read, and she can be miserable on the island with me.
All right. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move to our praise and worship. Thank you for playing.
If I wanted to play some blues,
That's my mic.
Welcome to the second day of Restart. Our first song will be Lord, I Lift Your Name on High. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way from the earth to the cross. My debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Your name on high. Lord, I lift your name on high.
Our next song will be Waymaker. Please sing along with us.
Moving in our midst, I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
Please stand for our theme song and opening song, Firm Foundation.
Christ is my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaken. I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus, 'cause He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would He fail now? He won't. He won't. I've still got joy in chaos. I've got peace that makes no sense, so I won't be going under. I'm not held by my own strength, 'cause I built my life on Jesus. He's never let me was built on you. I'm gonna make it through. My house was built on you. My firm foundation. The rock on which I stand when everything around me is shaken. I've never been more glad I put my faith in Jesus. 'Cause He's never let me down. He's faithful through generations. So why would He fail now? He won't. He won't. He won't fail. He won't fail. He won't.
Hi everyone. Today our speaker will be our very own Pastor Jenkins, and today he's going to be speaking on a very well-known Bible character. Can anybody guess who it is? This person defeated a giant. So,
Amen. Thank you so much. All right, so today's a good day because I could actually speak from my heart. Usually when I preach on Sabbath, I kind of temper what I got to say. Now, there's somebody here in our audience that I can say, like, call the people that you know that I know, Augustine. So some of us sitting here have a temper, yes or no? So you've heard me oftentimes talk about how I grew up in New York. The first time that I came to New York, I was probably like 3 months old. So we would go between New York and Panama. So like, what are you talking about New York? If you're growing in a tough environment, you have to be tough as well. You either toughen up or life will make you tough. So old people like us, what we would say is, in our day, we had it hard. So you're like, what does that have to do with David? The Bible tells you in 1 Samuel, I don't know why I said John, I even looked at it as John, 1 Samuel 16:7, that David had to be anointed. And Samuel sends the prophet to look for a new king. And when Samuel is looking at everybody, the first thing that he does is like, man, it has to be Eliab. He's the oldest. He's the one that looks the best. Now, I want to ask you something. How many of us here are humble? Nobody here is humble? Yeah, you're so humble that you will date the ugliest girl in school? Girls, would you date the guy who's like Brett stinks? Any volunteers? Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm going to keep it real, right? So growing up in New York, my freshman year, I started hanging out with some people, and it wasn't because I wanted to, but those guys were not good. They were bad news. I'm going to get directly to the point. How many of you have had a gun in your hand? Hope you don't raise your hand, but, well, come on, you're older, all right? You're not one of these youngins, and it's fine if you did, I understand. But if you can go to the shooting range, so that makes sense. How many of you at 14 had a gun? So my freshman year at 14, the Dexter that you see here is a totally different Dexter. So I said, if you talk to the guys that went to high school with me, I was a guy that had the temper. I had a temper. And I would get in fights with people. Now, how was the gun presented to me? That freshman year, somebody goes, Dexter, or D as I was called, you're going to be a part of our group, our crew, our gang. I'm coming of age in the time of Heavy D, and, you know, Snoop was coming out, 92? Tupac was hanging around New York. I mean, so you were either tough or you were tough. All you kids growing up here, I'm sorry, you're growing in a bubble. You didn't have to step out your house any day and be afraid of being shot. When I was growing up in Brooklyn, you had to duck sometimes. You had to be careful because somebody was, and if you walked soft, if somebody bumped into you, you better bump him back. So when I was walking with that gun at 14 in Brooklyn, man, I felt big. But praise God that my mother, I always talk about my mom, Dukes, my mother was the one that would say, that stops. And then you may say, well, what is the point? How do you make a connection between David? David was the one that everybody would know that he was never going to do good. He was the youngest one of 8 brothers, and he had sisters as well. So you may find yourself in the same predicament, the same situation. You're the one that people look like, you know what, you will never pan out. In fact, you probably heard that. I'm sorry, you have heard it. Hopefully not from family, but somebody has put you down. And David found himself in the same predicament. You think that all David's brothers were really super nice to him? They weren't. But David, mercy. Yeah, thank you. So David still found himself, we don't even really need it, but David found himself that even though things was against him, so you know what the Bible says. So when everybody's looking at the outer appearance, God is looking at the heart. That's how we said, you wouldn't get with the ugliest person. You want the tallest person. You want the person that looks good, unless you have low self-esteem, and a lot of people have low self-esteem. You know, I had 2 options. You think I wanted that gun? No. The guy cornered me in the hallway, and he's like, you either take it or I fold you. Fold you like, you know, I'm going to kill you. In our day, it was, you know, we called it whack. So all of this stuff, you either took the gun and you started hanging out with us, or we were going to harm you. And so I had 2 choices. David had many choices across his life. So he ends up getting the nastiest job in his family, alone. But even though there, God is molding him and shaping him. So if I would have stopped thinking at my young age, you know what, I'm going to be this. You know, when I got to high school, like we walked around campus like if we were thugs. And nobody messed with us. Our school only had like 25 black people, and we decided if somebody messes with one, you mess with everybody. So now imagine how many fights we had there. I remember one time I stepped up to the 2nd floor, sophomore floor, my sophomore year, and 10 guys made like a line, and they were like, you come through here, you get beat. And this Jamaican guy came out with a folding chair, and he started baptizing everybody left and right. He was just dispensing justice. And 35 years later, that's still my friend. 35 years later, we're still friends. So, you know, today I would be like, come on, you can't hit anybody. But he showed me that he was my friend. And by the way, we change, we grow, we mature. That is the example that you see in David. Because David is anointed at 17 years old. And even though he's anointed young and early, he has to wait 13 years to assume the kingdom. 13, man. And when people look at you, there's an expectation. Your parents, come on, I pastor this church. If you're a member of this church, I see your parents. Your parents have an expectation of you. They want the best for you. They don't want you to have second best. And you shouldn't settle for second less either. You should settle for the best. The best friends, you know, and by the way, some of you be like, well, girlfriend, boyfriend, well, you should wait for that if you're like way too young. But even when that time comes, you should still aim high. Because if you don't have standards for yourself, If you walk around defeated, people will look at you that way and treat you that way. And then, like I said it on Sabbath for the first time, the second district that I went through as a youth pastor, I would always say to the young people, time is my best friend. Because some of the people that would sit around and laugh and stuff, right, when I was preaching and I would try to counsel them, I'll be like, you look back on these days and you'd be like, man, I wish I had listened. So growing up in Brooklyn one day, well, the token was $1.25 by then. So the token is what you put in the turnstile to be able to use the subway. And I'm like, you know what? If I save the $1.25, I can get that New York style pizza. So I jumped the turnstile, and as I was heading down the stairs, somebody yoked me up and brought me back. And I was about to throw blows, right? And as I'm looking back, yeah, I'm not talking like I preach on Sabbath. I'm actually being New York style with y'all today. So I'm about to throw blows at somebody, and I saw it was a cop. And I was like, whoop. And I went into like little church mouse mode, like, man, I better not do anything. I better be good and cool. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And the cop is like, nah, I'm going to arrest you. 2 years have passed, and I was going to boarding school. And I knew then, by the way, I wanted to be a pastor. I don't know what kind of a pastor would have turned out trying to be some thug. But then, that was one of the changing moments of my life. That cop said, I've seen you walk around here with your grandmother. I know this is not you. That you're not that kind of kid. You're messing with the wrong people. I was on home leave. Home leave is when they'll let you go from high school to go home for like 4 days. And he's like, well, you got to try to impress your friends. These aren't your friends. And I woke up real quick, and I was like, man, if you give me one chance, I'll never do this again. He's like, what makes me believe that you're not going to do it again? I said, I promise you. To this day, moved from New York, but I never jumped another turnstile. You see, it doesn't matter how the world looks at you. God looks at you, and he believes in you. And God looks, I want to repeat that, God believes in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. Half of you don't even believe in yourself. Half of you have sometimes a negative, bad attitude. Half of you sometimes fight among yourselves. If you have a sibling, you don't even get along with your own sibling. You come to church because you're forced. You came to Restart because that is at least one place where you can hang out with your friends. Most of us, when we were growing up in church, we come to church because we want to hang out with our friends. But now I want to tell you something that is crucial. You need to come to church because you want to become a friend of Jesus Christ. And if you're not a friend with Jesus Christ, you know what will happen, like I said about time? You're going to find yourself out of church because you never had roots in church. And so somebody caught David early. Somebody told him the stuff that he had to do early. And because somebody told him early, even when he messed up and he did wrong, he was able to say, because I'll tell you, the Bible is real. And he was able to say, have mercy upon me, O Lord, according to thy tender mercies. So even when he messed up, he was able to say, God will forgive me. So you're like, wait, hold up. How did you get rid of the gun? I showed up at home one day. I didn't get rid of it. Well, I did. And by now, my mom could see my change in attitude. I had some bread in my pocket, and it wasn't bread. I had some money in my pocket. The clothes that I had was different. And I had gone to the barber, back in those days, it was $20 right there in Brooklyn. I was like, I want a Playboy sign right here. And I had a high box like this. And when I showed up home and I started, I went to the bed. My mom was like, what's that on your head? I was like, what you think? It's hair. That was the last thing that I remember saying. What you think is hair? Because when I said, what you think is hair, I was like, whoa, man, I got up and I was like, and then I saw my mother and she was crying. The woman was crying. Oh, yeah, your parents cry to you too. And even if you don't hear them crying, you know that they cry for you. Come on, I'm a parent too. So when you want to, some of you, I haven't seen, because I've grown up in New York, I know the swole attitude. You know what I mean. Some people don't even know what swole is, but that swole attitude that you think you big because you got a couple, a little peach fuss here. You still a little kid. And you know that you can't make it out there without your parents. But that day when I saw my mother crying, right, it jarred me. And I promised myself I would never make this woman cry again. So I went back to school. I grew a backbone. I was like, yo, here's your gun back. I gave that dude his gun back. And I was like, you could do whatever you want to me. I ain't never hurting my mom. And I stepped off. And then the next semester, the next school year, I ended up at Blue Mountain Academy. And that was the beginning of my change of my life. So if you go on the yearbook and you see the yearbook picture, you see me there as a 17-year-old trying to look like some tough guy, and it says future goals. And I said to there was a movie in the 90s, make money and mo money. So I put make mo money, and right next to make mo money, I said, and to be a pastor and serve God. So I had to choose one. And just like David, two things I want to leave with you. David had to make the right choices. I don't want to over talk. David had to make the right choices. You have to make the right choices. Not because somebody's forcing you, but because you are like, you know what? Even when you mess up, admit you're wrong, your error, your mistake, and then come back. Because I have told a lot of young people in 25 years of ministry, you and what army? You know what the you and what army means, right? You can be some thug. You could try to walk around in school and try to bully somebody, but you're going to run into somebody that you can't bark against. And when you run into him, you're going to be like, So, word of counsel, if you're making the wrong choices, start making the right choices. Second, you can say, well, I'm young now. Well, now is when you start. And even if you mess up, come back. Because there are people that care about you. And I'll tell you, you ain't never heard me speak like this on Sabbath. But this is the way that you need to hear it, straight from the heart. And that lets you know that God has a plan for you. Even when you don't think there's a plan, there's a plan. And so David had messed up so many times. But every time he messed up, God forgave him. And now I'm going to close up with this. You may say, well, you know what? I can mess up. You know who's going to live with the regret and the resentment and the pain? You will. I beg you, make the right choices. God bless you.
Pastor, you went New York on us, but you left out one of the famous rappers. You didn't say Biggie. I was like, man, oh man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor Jenkins. All right, so we're going to our next phase of our service. So we are changing up the schedule a little bit today. So we're going to do dinner now. Then after dinner, we'll be doing small groups. We're going to break the high school groups into two groups today because we have a large high school group today. So me and Shinya will be doing the the high school groups. After the small groups, we'll then go into doing our kind of Kahoot exercise. So we will make our games being the last because we'll be doing the water games, and then we don't want everybody to come back in being wet, okay? So we will get ready to dismiss and go over to the gym. Any questions? Yes, Brother Carter.